Hello and welcome to Firstpost Spotlight, where we bring you stories that matter to you from all across the world. From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, we shed light on issues that shape our world. I'm Alison LaGrange, live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin with the top headlines. Israeli military confirms the interception of a missile launched from Yemen, with Iran-backed Houthis later claiming responsibility for the attack after IDF strikes on Houthi targets. The US signs a strategic civil nuclear deal with Malaysia to drive energy security. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the pact sets the highest standards of safety, security, and non-proliferation. Pakistan police arrest 71 foreigners, mostly Chinese nationals, in a raid on a scam call center, claiming to have uncovered a transnational network of individuals involved in Ponzi schemes and investment fraud. The leaders of Armenia and Azerbaijan hold peace talks in Abu Dhabi months after the two countries finalized a draft peace deal in a bid to end their long-standing conflict. And search teams continue to scour the lake south in Philippine capital Manila for dozens of cockfighters allegedly murdered by armed gangs. Hello and welcome. The self-ruled island Taiwan is flexing its steel, both for Beijing and the world to see. On day 2 of its annual war games, Taiwan rolled out its brand new US-made Abrams tanks. In the mud-splattered hills of a Taiwanese county, the island's army let Abrams tanks rip through the ground, 4 of them maneuvering through thick sludge, locking onto moving targets and firing with clinical precision. It was a traditional firepower display, but with very modern undertones. Now, these are Taiwan's first new tanks in 24 years. The first 38 of a total of 108 ordered from the US arrived in December. The rest are expected next year. And watching these drills was Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te, helmet on, warface ready, his words after the war games: "With every increase in the military's combat power, Taiwan and its people gain an extra layer of security." Listen in.
The
more training there is in peacetime, the more combat strength the Taiwan military will have. With every increase in the military's combat power, the nation and its people gain an extra layer of security. When the country is more secure, the region will also have more peace and stability.
This year's 10-day military drill is more than just an annual ritual. Senior military brass say the goal is clear: test real combat readiness and demonstrate that Taiwan can and will defend itself against a Chinese attack or full-blown invasion. Reports say that the use of these US-made weaponry will make any invasion attempt by China more expensive, and the one with unpredictable consequences, and to raise the bar for future war. Taiwan is expanding its arsenal quite precisely at a war footing. Apart from Abrams tanks, Taiwan acquired the first 11 of 29 ordered high-mobility artillery rocket systems. It has also acquired 1,700 tube-launched, optically tracked, wire-guided anti-tank missiles. The mobility, accuracy, and firepower of this weaponry is reported to be several times greater than those of Taiwan's existing weaponry. For now, the optics are strong. Tanks rolling, cannons firing, commanders watching. But the real war, if it comes, won't be fought in open fields alone. It'll be in the gray zones, in the skies, and on screens. And Taiwan is preparing for all of it. And staying on with the use of American weapons in the Indo-Pacific, let's shift our focus to the multi-billion-dollar Aukus submarine pact, which is currently under review by the US. The Trump administration wants to ensure that the Biden-era pact aligns with the America First policy. Last month, on the 12th of June, the Pentagon announced a 30-day review of the Aukus submarine deal. Now, as the review deadline approaches, questions arise. What changes could the U.S. demand? Some reports have emerged and they offer us a clue. Let's take a look. The first possibility: the U.S. might want Australia to pay more money for the elite American submarines. The second demand could be that Washington might want Canberra to give a public declaration that these submarines would support the U.S. in a possible war with China. The conclusion of the AUKUS deal review comes at a critical time for Australia. Prime Minister Albanese is beginning a 6-day tour of China on the 12th of July. During the visit, Albanese will hold his third meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping since coming to power. Though Albanese has affirmed Canberra's support for AUKUS, he also signalled that Australia will pursue its own interests first. Albanese has rejected Washington's calls for Canberra to spend more on defence after NATO allies agreed to increase military spending in recent weeks. Now, coming back to the AUKUS deal, which is at the centre of this chaos, the Trilateral Security Pact signed in 2021 between the US, the UK and Australia centres on transfer of US submarine technology. Under the $239 billion deal spanning 30 years, Australia will acquire 3 Virginia-class nuclear submarines from the US starting in 2032. This will be followed by new jointly designed submarines for the UK and Australian navies. The pact also covers cooperation on advanced capabilities, including long-range hypersonic missiles, undersea robotics, and AI. This deal is not a mere exchange of defense technology. It is an attempt by the US to counter growing Chinese aggression in the Indo-Pacific. And Washington needs support from its allies in the Indo-Pacific, especially Australia. So Trump-led US has every reason to support the deal. Why did the need for a review arise then? Now, Trump's top defense hawk, Elbridge Colby, is the man leading the review. Colby is not very pleased with the US sharing nuclear submarine technology with allies. His argument: Colby says the US was not building enough submarines for its own defense and would not sell submarines to Australia if that might jeopardize American interests. Right after the review was announced last month, Australia chose to remain calm. Canberra labelled the Pentagon's review as routine and said that they are confident that the AUKUS pact will proceed. The UK, too, believes the same. The stakes are high. The review is expected to be out soon. If the Trump administration walks out of the AUKUS pact, it will be a big win for China. And if the US stays, it remains to be seen on what terms. And moving on, 2 Indian Air Force pilots lost their lives yesterday when a Jaguar fighter jet crashed in Western India's Rajasthan state during a training mission. This marks the 3rd Jaguar crash this year alone, and while the Indian Air Force has ordered a court of inquiry, the incident puts the spotlight on India's aging fighter jet inventory. The Jaguar, once a crown jewel in India's airstrike arsenal, is today a relic of the Cold War era. A British-French joint venture, the Jaguar was inducted into the Indian Air Force in 1979. It has served for over 4 decades, with key roles in the 1999 Kargil War and terror deterrent Operation Parakram in later years. Now, most recently, Jaguars saw combat during Operation Sindoor, when it was reportedly used for long-range air-to-air engagement with the Pakistan Air Force, as well as striking air bases. But it was never designed for such longevity. India remains the only country still flying Jaguars, with an estimated 120 jets across 6 squadrons. While these aircraft have been upgraded extensively, including with advanced avionics and new radars, they still rely on their original underpowered Ardor engines. This is known as a weak link. Now, it has also been the reason for past crashes. So why are these jets still in the skies? The short answer, there is no alternative ready yet. With the indigenous HAL Tejas program facing delays and only 31 active squadrons against a sanctioned strength of 42, the Indian Air Force is under severe pressure to keep its current fleet flying, even when it's long past its prime. The Jaguar, in particular, remains a critical component of India's nuclear deterrence. Designed for deep penetration missions, including low-altitude nuclear delivery, the erstwhile flying beast still plays out in the Indian skies, despite the rising toll in accidents and maintenance challenges. The Indian Air Force has managed this juggling act through supposed innovation, upgrading old airframes, acquiring decommissioned Jaguars from other countries for spares, and streamlining maintenance processes. But even with these patchwork fixes, time is catching up. The Jaguar once served as a ready nuclear delivery platform for the UK, France. But now France, the UK, and non-nuclear powered nations such as Oman, Ecuador, and Nigeria have phased out this jet from their respective air forces. This week's crash is not just a tragic loss. It is also prompting reflection for India. Reflection on the challenges that India faces in defense modernization, on the slow and complex path to replacing aging platforms like the Jaguar with newer, more capable systems like the French Rafales. Reflection on the delicate balance the IAF must maintain between keeping legacy aircraft operational and preparing for the future. As the Air Force pushes to modernize, constructive introspection is necessary, not just about the Jaguar, but about timelines and priorities. The Jaguar, for all its valor, may still fly, but perhaps it's time Indians ask, at what cost? And for our last story today, let's move to Thailand, where the confusion regarding cannabis rules is spiraling out. In June, the Thai government recriminalized cannabis 3 years after decriminalizing the drug. In June of 2022, Thailand became the first Southeast Asian country to remove cannabis from the list of banned narcotics. This was followed by a rapid growth of the cannabis industry in the country, which is now worth nearly $1 billion. And now the country has made a U-turn on cannabis rules, making it mandatory for retailers to operate as licensed medical clinics with on-site doctors. Now, more details are awaited on the implementation of new rules. Meanwhile, panic, fear, and anxiety over the future has gripped cannabis shop owners across Thailand. They have their concerns. These sweeping new rules have been with a lot of criticism and chaos. Shop owners are scrambling to comply with the new rules.
The operation team has to suspend all sales, as we are still waiting for the Ministry of Health to provide some clarity on the rules.
The main concern of customers is that it will be more difficult for them to buy or they will need a prescription. We as shops and consumers are waiting for more clarity.
Many fear they will be forced to close their shops. As per Thailand's Ministry of Public Health, the new regulations are set to be enforced by the end of the year. And out of the estimated 18,000 cannabis shops, a mere 2,000 will be left in operation. The push to impose new controls on cannabis sales comes after the Bumjai Thai Party, which championed the decriminalization legislation, withdrew from the ruling coalition over a leaked phone call between suspended Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra and a former Cambodian leader. Cannabis shop owners say the issue has become politicized and that changes will unfairly push out smaller businesses that cannot afford to hire a medical professional. Shop owners are also concerned that these sweeping rules will scare tourists, further hitting these businesses. For tourists, recreational cannabis use is off the table now. Tourists can no longer expect to walk into dispensaries without medical documents. Public consumption is not allowed, and possession without a prescription may result in penalties. However, the Thai government claims that these reforms are aimed at improving public safety and protecting young people and children. This is not the first time Thailand has introduced such reforms. The government has made several previous announcements of plans to restrict cannabis. This includes a legislation moved in February last year. However, none has come to fruition yet. As Thailand's new cannabis policy takes shape, cannabis shop owners are scrambling to save their businesses. Now it remains to be seen, how will the country's cannabis policy confusion further impact this massive industry, which is now in crisis? And that's all we have on the show for today. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines, detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT, only on Firstpost.
Hello and a very warm welcome. I am Gushin Garland and you're watching Firstpost. In the next few minutes, I get you the top 40 updates from around the world, only here on Fast and Factual. Let's get started. We begin with the latest from the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. Russia has launched a second